here on page 21, if we look at example number 3, right? So this one is not nearly as tricky, but so we have the square root of 2 plus 4 plus 2 plus the square root of 4. Well, hopefully you guys realize this, the square root of 4 is 2, right? So we have 2 plus 2, which is 4, and then we have 4 plus the square root of 2. So this is 4 plus, I'm just going to say, right, any amount. I mean, this could be like 0.000000001. This could be the tiniest amount. It doesn't, this is, right, so, sorry, this is 4. Right, those two added together equal 4. But on this side, we have 4 plus anything. Well, this is always going to be more. I mean, you start with 4 and you're adding anything. So this side always has to be greater. Right? So now I'm going to look at number 4, and we're going to go back and we're going to do that on the little note taking guide that I made so that you guys can go back and look at that. All right. There we go. All right, so if we look at, so this is for page 21, right? I made this one just a little bit smaller, so let me zoom in a little bit. So let's think to ourselves. We have to think, hey, the square root of 12, right? And we have the square root of 6. So if we go back and we look at our number line, right? We're going to have to look at a number line to come up with a good estimate for that, right? So if we look at the number line, right? Oops, you can't see it, right? So here we have 1. Think of our whole numbers: 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you're still having a hard time, you should do this every time. Make a number line. 1 times 1 is 1, so the square root of 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, so the square root of 4 is 2. 3 times 3 is 9, so the square root of 9 is 3. 4 times 4 is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. 5 times 5 is 25, so the square root of 25 is 5. Now the problem that we're looking at is square root of 12, square root of 6. So we need to look at those two perfect square roots. Okay, so I could just make this just like that. All right, so the square root of 12. So the square root of 12 is going to be between 9 and 16, right? So the square root of 12 is between 3 and 4. So we can type that in, right? The square root of 12 is between 3 and 4. Right? Now, what about the square root of 6? Well, the square root of 6 is between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9. So the square root of 6 is kind of, and it's going to be pretty close to the middle, and the square root of 12 is pretty close to the middle. It's between 2 and 3. So we can add that into our notes. It's between 2 and 3. So I zoomed in, and now my little video face is right there. Save and close. Okay. So now we can see it's between 2 and 3. So we can use that information, right? This is what we had to think about. That's why I put the word think. This is where, maybe I should put number line in here. Right, so think of a number line with perfect roots.